this live session. This is my first time going live on YouTube, so technically I don't really know exactly what I'm doing. It's all a little bit new, though it doesn't seem to be quite so different from other places where I've been live, and it's really such a gift and a privilege to be going live in this space, and I really felt called to do this live on YouTube in this space at this time to really share some of the insights for 2025. You know, I've been building this channel for 3 years now, and I haven't gone live yet because I haven't felt ready, and I've been growing and going live in other places, and this year is particularly special because 2025 probably holds some of the most radical astrology any of us have seen in our lifetimes. And astrology is groundbreaking, it's shaking. And there's no denying that the last few years that we have been through has been incredibly challenging, has been incredibly eye-opening and ground-shaking. And all of those events, right? COVID, all of the war breaking out, all of the truths being revealed, all of the people waking up to the toxicity of the way our governments have been running, our global systems have been running, the way power is distributed. All of that awakening, while extremely unsettling, has kind of been the lead up or the prequel to the astrology of 2025. And I think one of the biggest events, and many people have spoken about it here on YouTube. Hi Sanjay, blessings. Mrs. Sierra, hi, welcome. Lovely to see you joining. Many blessings. And Pluto in Aquarius, I think, is a great one for us to talk about. But because there's already so much content, I've actually done a whole talk on Pluto in Aquarius myself, which will be released on this channel at some point in the future. It's a 20-year transit. It's 20 years that we're moving through Aquarius. The last time Pluto was in Aquarius, we saw the American Revolution, we saw the French Revolution, among a number of other things, just as a quick highlight. And the thing about Aquarius energy is it's really about this shift from tradition. So we've moved Capricorn into Aquarius. It's moving from the patriarchal, the slowly built, and moving into the expanded mind. It's moving into the future. It's moving into the humanitarian realm. And Aquarius is all about change, kicking up the dust, revolution, and bringing focus to that which needs to crumble and letting it crumble. It is the Tower card, right? Pluto in Aquarius is really going to bring a lot of shifts, collective energy over the next 20 years. But this is not the only major shift that has happened recently that really, settling in 2025. Of course, some of the other highlights are some smaller things as well, but we have Saturn changing signs, we have Uranus changing signs, we have Neptune changing signs. This is a very unusual team of energies to be happening in a single year. These major outer planets moving into new signs, really talking about groundbreaking shifts. Even Jupiter is changing signs. It does change signs sort of every year, but we've got that shift of Jupiter right in the middle of the year as well, moving from Gemini into Cancer. So we are going to flesh out a couple of those big movements today. We're going to tap into a little bit of channeling. For those of you who don't know me, I invite quite a few people to this live, so I think some of you do know me, but if you don't know me, hello, my name is Carla. I'm a psychic. I channel a group of higher dimensional beings. I call them the blue team. You don't have to believe in that stuff, it's fine. Just see if the information resonates for you and leave the rest behind. And we're going to pull some cards as well, and we're just going to take a little bit of time connecting together in this collective space and aligning ourselves with some intention about how we can step into this groundbreaking energy, this major shift, right? People are going to see shifts in their entire lives, right? The way that borders feels like it's going to, if it doesn't shift this year, it's going to take us towards that shifting, right? Power dynamics across the globe is to shift. Your career is going to shift, whether it's a complete shift from one career into another, or the nature of how that career works, because so much is changing in the world. Everything has to change. Everything has to change. Now, I'd like to talk for a little moment. Actually, let me tap into your comments first and say hi. Wawan, thank you. Best wife. Insta ID is at Lunascension. Same name as my channel here. Wawan, no audio. No makeup. No need for makeup, darling. Thanks, Sinal. Hi, Faisal. Blessings, Mandy, Shrey, Moises, blessings. VK Moi. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Raquel, yeah, audio. Excellent. So glad and grateful to see you here, sister. Beautiful, beautiful. So let's talk just for a little moment about the nature of time and probabilities and things split. Now, you know, if you're into that kind of stuff, you might have heard already about timeline jumping and about how the present moment is kind of this like pinnacle point where we're experiencing this thing, and then there are all of these probabilities that branch out from that present moment, and you kind of get to choose the direction you go in. And really, we're talking about a quantum physics concept of time here, right? We could talk about Schrodinger's cat, right? The cat inside the box, so if we have a cat inside the box, the cat is present with poison. And until we open the box and see whether the cat has ingested the poison and died, the cat is both dead and alive. And this sort of puzzle, this thought stream, is to kind of illustrate this idea that all probabilities exist until we choose a direction. Choose that direction according to where we're focusing, where we're looking. So it's really important for us to understand. We can talk about the energy, raw energy that is held by a planetary movement, by an energy that's unfolding, by what we see happening in the global systems, etc., etc. But these things can split off in many, many different directions. Now, in terms of collective energy, we have less power over the collective energy because we need many in the collective to make choices in order to shift collective energy. But in terms of our personal lives, we have a lot of power. And we certainly are an important part of that collective energy. And this is why coming together and setting intention together and sharing information, especially sharing information that can help us to make better choices, make better decisions, move forward in an empowering way, is really so powerful. Really, really so powerful. And I think that this is one of the greatest responsibilities that we have as individuals at this time, and this time of great shifts, major things unfolding, major things unlocking, is to really be conscious about where we are looking and what we're focusing on, and therefore how things can open up. So, right, if I come back to this Pluto in Aquarius energy, for example, we can talk about major advancements in technology, in medicine, new ways of governing that are empowering. But we can also talk about apocalyptic kind of energy, right? Where there's nuclear war and half the populations die, and then we're left with like a much smaller population who kind of has to start at ground zero. And it's not an uncommon narrative. We've seen many movies with these kinds of narratives which kind of lay the foundation of warning for the direction that our planet can potentially go in if greed and hoarding and exploitation and etc remains a major focus of those who hold most of the power. And it really is so important for us to realize, because a lot of people sit down and just go, oh, the powers that be, as if they don't have power. But each and every single one of us has power. And that is that is so important for us to claim. And the more of us that claim that power and stand up and say something and do something and enter into our humanitarian roles in society, the more we get to shift that energy. And we really have a powerful opportunity this year to do exactly that, with all of these major planets shifting and moving. And on top of that, we have the North Node moving into Pisces and the South Node into Virgo, which actually is my personal, North Node return or natal return. It's my natal North Node and South Node. And it's very interesting because that Pisces energy in the North Node is really about looking towards a more humanitarian kind of energy. And this humanitarian kind of energy, it's a spiritual energy, it's an imaginative energy, it's a expansive energy. It's the kind of energy where our focus shifts from selfish, individual, perfectionistic, detailed, to a collective energy. And it's an awakened energy. It's an open energy, right? It's third eye, it's crown chakra, it's connection to higher realms, it's connection to alien entities. This is another thing that can really come through with this Pluto in Aquarius energy as first contact. I mean, we've already seen since Pluto moved into Aquarius in November, it happened November 19th, we've seen UFOs and all sorts of unidentified objects shown all over the world. Who's been following that, right? Super interesting stuff. Let me with your comments and see what's going on here. For Zeta, is that I'm not sure Schrodinger's first name, but Schrodinger's cat. That's definitely what I referred to. Mandy definitely will be of career change. Have just completed my studies. Absolutely amazing, Mandy. Congratulations. That's a huge shift in itself, right? For Zeta, the cat, an explanation of superposition. It's an explanation of many things depending on how you look at it, darling. Absolutely, though, that's not an incorrect statement. Mandy Besta, Uranus has been in my star sign since 2018. It has been an interesting transition to where I am today. Very interesting. And Uranus is also changing signs this year. I can't remember right now into what, but I quickly look at my notes. Uranus is moving into Gemini. Oh, yes. I love this because Uranus is all about revolution and shifting and changing, expanding, and turning things around in a really powerful way. And Uranus in Gemini is really going to be like the expansion of communications. And again, I'm really feeling alien connection, first contact, major shifts in our technologies, major shifts in how we can communicate. I honestly feel like this combination of North Node Pisces, Uranus in Gemini, Pluto in Aquarius could really mean, and I want, this is one of the possibilities. If we look again at that point, with all of these abilities that are springing from this point, right? And this is kind of what I want to bring about, right? This is the place I'm looking at, is telepathic communication, opening psychic gifts, right? People realizing the power they have in these divine bodies that we've incarnated in. Because so long, like right from childhood, the moment we're born, we are programmed to not believe in our innate gifts. And then they therefore not nurtured, which is an incredible shame. I think that this idea of people awakening to their innate gifts, their natural gifts, bringing focus to them, learning how to tap into them, is really one of the most exciting potentials. And, you know, when it comes to step to the responsibility that we have to the collective energy, I think that this can take many different forms, right? Because a lot of people will interpret that in terms of, oh, I've got to go to protests, I've got to like fight, be in this activist role, and that is very important, don't get me wrong. That is one layer, that is one approach. It is also important the people who are sitting down and doing the healing work, the people who are accessing, this for me is a big, big, big keyword for 2025, ancestral healing. People who are stepping into the journey of healing their ancestral bloodlines, right? And I know that this sounds very woo-woo, but when we talk about the science branches of epigenetics and look at the way environmental factors speak to our genes, how that can be passed down generations, we know that healing heals our lineage. Also, no, time does not exist. Scientifically, we know this. Time does not exist in the way we perceive it to exist, from A to Z, moving from here to here. It is something that is a variable factor. We know that mathematically. People who are stepping into ancestral healing, healing their bloodlines, bringing through and birthing new generations who are raised with far less trauma, who are better equipped to build and create and manifest a new world, right? That is a form of protest and activism in itself. And I think the calling for ancestral healing is so strong, right? And if you are indeed feeling that call to ancestral healing, let this be that final little knock in the wall that says it's time to follow that calling. It's time to go search for the course or look for the shaman or find the book and start that journey. The thing I want to say about ancestral healing work is it's almost impossible not to do it. Because if you're on a healing journey, if you're someone who is constantly or on a regular basis reflecting, meditating, doing healing work, changing and shifting patterns, observing the toxic patterns that exist in your family and the recurring patterns that show in your life, and making choices to shift that, to allow it to become something different. That is ancestral healing as well. even if you're not consciously working with the spirits of your ancestors. Now, I will say, as someone who does work consciously with the spirits of my ancestors, it is some of the most powerfully healing work I have ever done. And I have been on a healing journey for a long time. I'm a hypnotherapist, I'm a psychic, I work with beings, I work with energy medicine, and ancestral healing has been some of the loudest energy I've ever worked with. Highly, highly recommend it. So, healing is, working with your own energy, right? And again, you are not in a vacuum. You do not exist apart from the collective. When you heal something in yourself, in your bloodline, you heal that in the collective energy too. Everything you do has an effect. Everything you do has an effect. So, this is another one of those very important layers. The healing is the pattern breaking, is the generational curse break, right? There's a big theme around Aries energy this year. And Aries energy is all about stepping into leadership, finding your voice. Now, Aries energy can be very brash and loud and aggressive and impulsive as well. And the temptation for that is very, very strong. Right now, we have Mars, which is the ruler of Aries, in retrograde, who has noticed that a lot of people are triggered and fiery and overreacting and way too sensitive in the last little while. That's still going to be on until February, right? That's a theme entering into this 2025 energy, and it can cause a lot of shakiness. And to be honest, shakiness, that is a theme for 2025. This ground that we stand on is not solid. Anything you think you can count on and depend on, other than yourself, or perhaps some very, very strong, solid relationships in your life, if you're lucky enough to have those, almost everything else is shifting, changing, shaking, and completely unstable. And if it crumbles, it must go. So it's very useful to walk into this year in a state of surrender, to consciously call in the energy of trust. If you do have faith and belief in some kind of higher power, accessing prayer is incredibly powerful. Of course, you need faith in for that to work in a powerful way for you. This Aries theme, and I'm going to talk about the different versions in Aries and some of the things that are happening in Aries in just a moment. We'll go into some of the specific things, but this theme of Aries, and there seems to be a theme of Pisces as well. Pisces, Aries, Aquarius, Gemini, fire, air, water, earth. We're moving away from that very grounded earth energy, and everything's getting a little bit muddy, watery, airy, shaky, fiery. It is a war apocalyptic kind of mix of energy. In fact, actually, I'd like to talk a little bit about what this word apocalypse means, because I recently looked up the etymology of the word apocalypse, and it comes from this idea of a veil lifting, of something being revealed. And when I love looking at etymology of words, because when we the root, because the word apocalypse sounds incredibly scary, right? Because we think of disaster, we think of the Tower card, we think of things crumbling, things ending, we think of death. But when we think of death simply as transformation, and apocalypse as things being revealed, the veil lifting, there's a more peaceful energy around that. There's something very calming about it. So for me, this combination with Aries, Pisces, Gemini, Aquarius is really talking about this archetype of the warrior. And I really want to say the spiritual humanitarian warrior. And I feel like this is a powerful archetype that is awakening in the collective energy. I think it's been awakening for a while. I think fully awakening this year. And I think people who have never even felt called to step into that kind of role, into that kind of energy, feel called to step into that this year. And may that awaken in our collective field. And of course, where we get this from, Aries is the warrior, warlord, right? Aries is a war energy, and for us to deny that would not be very useful. Let's have a quick conscious water break. All right, so for those of you who are here on the live, are there any questions or any shares? How has your entry into 2025 been? How are you feeling in terms of stepping into the year? Are you in a sense of optimism? Do you feel this sort of newness opening up? And I think it's always notable for us to look at things. What was the energy of 2024, right? Wasn't it just a lot? And numerologically, 2024 was a year of the 8, which is meant to be a very abundant, successful kind of year. And now we're entering into the year of the 9, which is all about endings and completions, and therefore new beginnings. I think it's really useful to ask ourselves, what are we bringing focus to in terms of an ending? What are we letting go of? What are we laying to rest? And what is beginning for us? What are we starting? What are we opening ourselves to? And I think, most importantly, what are we opening our hearts to? What are we allowing in? And again, this comes down to that focus. All right, so let's have a little look at some of these very specific movements that are happening in 2025. So we have Mars retrograde, that's happening in Leo and in Cancer. That started on the 6th of December. It will continue all the way to the 23rd of February. Mars retrograde energy, very unsettling. I do believe the Berlin Wall fell during a Mars retrograde. Mars retrograde is very sensitive because we have it in Leo and Cancer. Leo is very sensitive. Cancer is very sensitive, especially when they feel just a little bit of animosity, and it can be the slightest little undercurrent of animosity, and they can lash out, and that's in the collective energy right now, right? All of us are feeling that. I really feel that this Leo Cancer energy is bringing up themes around not feeling seen, not feeling heard, not feeling appreciated, my issues, not guilt and shame, especially unrecognized guilt and shame coming up. And so, and when you're not used to acknowledging, oh, there's this guilt and shame coming up, there's this pride coming up, there's this painful moment coming up, and when you're not used to going, oh, this is a me thing, like that person's action might have triggered me, maybe I need to sit with that and see what that is, but this emotional response that's going on inside of me, right, that's mine, and it's showing me that something needs to heal. And when you can take that approach, you go, how can I use this challenging moment as an opportunity to heal myself? That is incredibly powerful. So Mars will be retrograding backwards into Cancer on the 6th of January, so that's in 2 days' time. We're going to see a shift from the pride and the being seen and heard energy into that me issues, shame and guilt, and it's, you know where it's going to sit? Really going to sit in that sacral chakra in the belly button, and for a lot of people it's going to have some kind of sexual connotation to it, or creative. Very, very interesting kind of energy. Be aware of it. Use it as that opportunity to. On the 12th of January, we're going to see the lunar nodes enter into Pisces, Virgo. This is going to transit through these two signs for a year and a half. This means that a number of the eclipses that happen for the next year and a half, which happen sort of in 6-month clusters, are going to mostly be in Pisces and Virgo. But quite oddly enough, this year not all of them will be in Pisces and Virgo, even though the node and the south node are in those signs. So I think we have an Aries one coming up. Remember I said we have these Aries themes. The eclipses this year, and I'll mention when they are in just a moment, the eclipses this year are really going to be groundbreaking and very unsettling. And if you're not ready to step into that self-reflection, see yourself, it's going to be very easy to fall into the poor me victim gene. And you know what? Sometimes we've got to do that, actually. Sometimes we've got to do that. On the 21st of January, we have Pluto conjunct the Sun in Aquarius. We've got this absolutely powerful, amazing, beautiful moment, providing this opportunity for us to share something deep in our psyches. For those of you who practice hypnosis or work with guided meditations or work with shamanic journeying or any of these kinds of modalities, or even somatic relief, really powerful energy to tap in at this time. And if you've been doing the shadow work leading up to this point, it's going to be a major, major shift. You actually have the opportunity on the 21st of January to shift timelines. Those of you who are into the timeline jumping, Raquel has been full of love, relationship-wise, and full of overwhelm-wise, but overall good. Love that, Raquel. Love for you. I mean, honestly felt work has been an overwhelm, and it's been kind of that feeling of like pedaling to stay on top. But yes, so much love, so much love. You know, we got to take the good with the bad. We got to take the blessing with the challenge. And I think for me, the overwhelm and the challenge, at least for me, of the workspace, a lot, but it's also been powerfully activating. And yeah, I think the way I feel about this year is a good mix of excitement and fear. I'm going to admit that there's fear there. Absolutely. I think that amount of change, it's really difficult to not have fear with that amount of change. It really is. It's going to be one of the biggest shifting years that we've ever seen in our lifetimes. It's major, major. In February, we're going to have Venus conjunct Neptune in Pisces on the 2nd. Now, this is time to do some of your manifestation magic, people. Venus conjunct Neptune in Pisces on the 2nd of February. I mean, come on. It's just that is the stuff that dreams are made of. Okay, if you have a little witchy circle that you do manifestation magic with, gather on that day, the 2nd of February. The 7th of February, we're going to have Venus conjunct North Node in Pisces. This is an excellent moment to check your goals. So whatever magic you were weaving on the 2nd, sit and like refocus on that energy, call that energy back in, make that all of your visions are aligned with what you truly, truly want. Neptune is going to conjunct the North Node in Pisces again on the 7th of February. So again, the 7th of February, we got June, Venus, North Node, all conjuncting each other. Very, very powerful energy. 7th of February. The 9th of February, we have a Mercury Cazimi in Aquarius. Okay, a Cazimi when we have a conjunction with the Sun. So Mercury and the Sun are going to be in the same degrees. This is happening in Aquarius. This is a powerful moment for receiving insight. So any of you who practice channeling, connecting with your guides, receiving guidance, doing guided meditations, listening to the beat of your own heart, listening to the rhythms of your own soul. The February, very powerful time to receive that insight. So January, we have a lot of, this is very unsettling, this is very challenging, this is very difficult. We do still have Mars retrograde through February, but because there's just so much of this delicious energy going on, it kind of lightens it up a little bit. So February is kind of those moments of like a sigh of relief in 2025. So tap into that energy and get absolutely very conscious about what it is that you want your life to look like, what it is you want the collective energy to look like, what it is you want things to go. In fact, especially those of you who are going to hear that calling to focus on your healing and to step into ancestral work, February is such an incredible time to focus on that work. And those of you who are feeling called to work in a group of people and to bring focus to your psychic development, to open your gifts, to activate higher dimensional light beings, to do that in a group, in a community, and learn about hypnotherapy, self-hypnosis, ancestral work, and spiritual content in general in a very healthy way, do go and check out my psychic development program. February is a wonderful month to sign up because I have a new teacher starting who is an incredible hypnotherapist and is going to be taking some guest classes for a couple of months. And we have already begun a focus on ancestral work, which is incredible, incredible journey. So do come tap into that if you're feeling called. March is crazy. Firstly, we have Venus moving into retrograde. It's going to retrograde through Aries and then into Pisces. We're going to see a Saturn Cazimi in Pisces on the 12th of March. Sorry, Venus retrograde starts on the 1st of March. It's going to end 12th of April. Saturn Cazimi in Pisces is happening on the 12th of March. Saturn has been in Pisces for quite a long time, and we are going to see Saturn moving out of Pisces and into Aries at some point soon. There will be a total lunar eclipse in Virgo on the 14th of March. For those of you who know, you know. Eclipse energy is loud, it's unsettling, it's breaking, it's revealing. It's revealing normally in the uncomfortable of ways. It is not easy to stay grounded, stable, calm during this energy. And of course, we always recommend that it is way better for us to enter that energy consciously. It's not the time to set intentions This is not the time to do magic. This is not the time to weave the energy. This is the time to sit and observe. This is the time to take notes. This is the time to look at what's happening, what is unfolding, what is going on. Don't react yet. Give yourself a few days. Let the settle. Hello, Banu. Kristen, my B-Day month. Feb, looking forward to the ancestral work. Oh, Kristen, see you here, Divine One. Yes, for that ancestral work. Love it. Me too. I'm loving the ancestral work, honestly. 14 March, total lunar eclipse in Virgo. It's probably going to reveal to you some of the places where you have been gaslighting yourself, especially in terms of how you've been so deeply self-critical. Um, the places where you do your best to just be perfect and then you can't be perfect and then you feel like you have failed. Oof. That narrative, like where you set yourself up for the failure and then you feel like a failure, and then anyone who looks down even just slightly at you, you feel so triggered. That's the kind of energy of this lunar eclipse. We have a Mercury retrograde. March, people, March. Honestly, and I'm pregnant and I'm due in March. My child has chosen such a crazy time to be born. Eclipses, Mercury retrogrades, like all of this crazy shifting. It's a lot. Venus retrograde, even. Venus and Mercury in retrograde. Oh my goodness, what natal charts have you chosen? So interesting. Okay, so we've got Mercury going retrograde. It's going to move through Aries and Pisces. Remember, this Aries and Pisces theme this year is very, very strong. That's beginning on the 14th of March. It's going to continue for 3 weeks, so that'll be into April. Then we've got a beautiful Venus Cazimi in Aries on the 23rd of March. Finally, a little bit of light-hearted energy. Light-hearted is the wrong word. Let's rephrase that. A little bit of energetic energy. Venus is not exactly comfortable in Aries, but the Sun is. And if there's been something weighing on you, and you've been needing to speak up, and you've been needing to say this thing, you're gonna finally find your voice around this time. Be careful the words you choose. But do stand up for yourself. Do find your voice here. That's on the 23rd of March. We're going to see a Mercury Cazimi in Aries on the 25th of March. All right? Again, both Venus and Mercury are retrograde, but this Cazimi energy is going to give them a little bit more potency and power. So communications, again, are going to be a little bit easier 23rd, 25th of March. Venus is going to retrograde backwards into Pisces on the 27th of March. Venus definitely prefers being in Pisces. It's a little bit of a soft energy again, nice and dreamy, very beautiful. Venus is going to conjunct Neptune in Pisces again on the 27th of March, except this time, of course, we have Venus in retrograde. This is, again, a nice little bit of gentle energy coming through in between all of this challenging energy. Then on the 29th of March, we have our second eclipse of the month, a partial solar eclipse in Aries. Now remember, I said to you, the North Node and the South Node is in Virgo and Pisces. So normally we would see all of the eclipses happening in Virgo and Pisces. Here we have this partial solar eclipse happening in Aries, which is kind of odd. And, that's where the North and South Node have just moved from Aries and Libra into Pisces and Virgo. And it's, again, this theme of Aries. This is a thunderous energy. This is an aggressive energy. This is a groundbreaking energy. Okay? I want to say the temptation to overreact, to shout, to scream, to throw your toys out of the cot going to be so intense at this time. And in some cases, it's probably going to be necessary. And in many cases, it's probably going to happen. But I do think that there is wisdom in feeling those feelings, letting them bubble up, sitting with them, letting the dust settle, and then asking yourself, what is truly the best response for me to give here? And often, letting that dust settle first is a lot more beneficial for you in the long run. However, be cautious that you're not putting a tight lid on a steaming pan. Of course, that's a metaphor. You do let off the steam. Just maybe you don't want to let off the steam by shouting at someone a bunch of things you don't actually mean that you actually thought through. Perhaps you'll go for a boxing class or a dancing class, or you'll go for a run, or you'll write about it in your journal, or you'll jump around, or you'll have a rage ritual, right? Many different ways available to release the energy. All right, where are we? That was the partial solar eclipse. Okay, on the 30th of March, we have Mercury retrograding backwards into Pisces, and we have Neptune moving into Aries. Now, this is one I didn't mention earlier, but I really think that Neptune moving into Aries, and it's be there until 2039. Right? Is that right? 2039. This is a long transit, right? This is a very long transit. Okay, of course, it's going to have a moment of grading back into Pisces at some point. So, besides that, we're going to have transit for really long. Neptune is dreamy, is illusion, is delusion, is the ocean, is the dream realms, is, vision, connection, spirituality. But sometimes a spirituality that's not very grounded. Neptune moving into Aries really might help us to take the action that is necessary to make our dreams a reality. I think this is a very powerful, powerful transit in terms of being able to step into something new. Anu, what are you saying here? It's like Russian to me. Damn. Okay. Neptune and Aries is kind of, it also talks about this warrior, spiritual warrior archetype, right? And I'm going to be a little bit facetious here for a moment, but I often see people talking about the spiritual warrior on Facebook, and they love to misspell it as the warrior, as in WORRIER, which is to worry instead of to be strong and to stand for something, and quite possibly against something else. To be someone who isn't afraid to face the shadows, the fears, right? And I do think that this is a nuance to look at, because we don't want to manifest the spiritual warriors who are going to sit and stress and disconnect themselves. And I think this is a big issue in spiritual communities where people are focused on the love and the light, and you're the creator of the universe, and you're gonna manifest the life of your dreams. Focus, focus, focus. Toxic positivity. And the thing about energy is, it's not entirely wrong, and it is based on a lot of truths that are real. However, not the full truth. We are also ego, we are all shadow, and we are connected, intricately connected to everyone around us. So we can't just chop ourselves off from what's happening in the global narrative, what is happening in the world, what is going on. We also have some responsibility to that as well. And in fact, that focus on just the love and the light, love and the light, is essentially gaslighting a very big and important part of yourself. So it is extremely important for us to become fearless warriors facing that which needs to change and taking responsibility for our part in shifting that powerful narrative. Moving on to April. April, we're going to have Venus, which is still retrograde, by the way, conjunct to the northern Pisces. This is a very nice start to the month of April. And as we know, the sun moves into Aries. And when the sun moves into Aries, we have the astrological new year. This sense of another new beginning at this time in April. In fact, for many, this is the true new year. That's my cat's tail. Everyone say hello to Mr. Wolfie. This is my Mr. Wolfie. Hey, Mr. Wolfie. Hello. Yes. Yes. Okay. So we do have some nicer energy coming about in April again. Have Mercury retrograde, which is still retrograde, conjunct the North Node in Pisces on the 4th of April. We're going to Saturn in Pisces sextile to Uranus in Taurus on the 5th of April. These are all very beautiful energies, really great for bringing focus to your visions, where you want to go in the world, how you want to reassess your energy. And I sometimes feel like the first 3 months of the year, in terms of the Gregorian calendar, is kind of like a dragging your heels, trying to get into the new year. And by the time you hit April, you're like, oh, I finally arrived. I feel like that is in many ways the true beginning. In those first months, it's just like trying to find your feet, trying to decide where you're meant to be, which way is and what's left and right. And as we come into April, there's very strong focus on spiritual action, where it is you want to be going, what it is you want to see in the world, what are the true goals, right? Not just, and material's important, career's important, all of that stuff's important, but we're really talking here about ethically, spiritually, morally. Where are you aligning yourself? And what are you manifesting, creating, and bringing into the world? Very important questions to ask yourself at the time in April. We're going to see a Chiron in Aries on the 12th of April. Who knows anything about Chiron, right? Raquel, Sun in Aries, and my birthday month. Yes, sister, love that. a beautiful month, actually. Very beautiful month. Chiron is the wounded healer. And Chiron in Aries is really talking about the places where we are afraid to take the lead, even though we're meant to. We're meant to step out. We're meant to be seen. We're meant to have our say. We're meant to steer the ship. And for many people, there are areas, there are places where they've been shutting themselves, silencing themselves, not having their say, sitting in the background, when actually they're meant to step forward. And with Chiron hitting the sun, those challenges highlight themselves, and you're going to have an opportunity here to again sense yourself, to step into the shadows, to step into the background, or to go, actually, this is the moment I'm meant to lead. And certainly when it comes to who you are and your life, there are certain spaces, places in your life where you are meant to lead, and you are certainly meant to be the leader of your life. More about Chiron, please. I don't know. So, Chiron in Greek mythology is a centaur who was a very powerful healer, um, and and this healer was renowned and healed a lot of people and could do all of these things, but unfortunately, this one thing that they couldn't heal, which eventually took their life. And so, archetypally, we're really talking about the thing in your life that is the big thorn in your side. So, if you look at your natal chart, and if anyone wants to draw up their natal chart, you can go to astro-seek.com. That's my favorite place to use. If you want help in interpreting your natal chart, you are very welcome to book a natal chart reading with myself. Um, and if I'm not taking chart readings at the time, I will refer you to a friend who is very, very, very good at doing natal chart readings as well. Because I'll be giving birth at some this year. So book now if you really want. But if you look up your Chiron natal placement, this will reveal to you that thing in your life that shows up all the time that you really just battle to heal. And I'll give a good example, like Chiron in Virgo, for example, hypochondria. That's one way it can show up, right? Um, Chiron in Virgo also can be this energy of like, um, I'm a powerful healer, but I just can't heal myself, right? I help people to heal all the time, but I can't heal myself. Chiron in Cancer, big time mommy issues. Big time, just most fated relationship with your mother ever. These are obviously summaries. Um, and, you know, you can go so much deeper into these placements. We are rushing through it right now. Chiron and Aries, leadership, the need to step into leadership. Chiron in, let's go, Sagittarius. Yeah, that there is no meaning, no God, no true spirituality. The fear that it's all meaningless. Chiron in Gemini. Hmm. A lot of issues around cheating, flirtatiousness, mistrust, and and probably also that people are kind of slut shaming you, right? Those are just some examples. So Chiron really reveals our biggest shadowy lessons in our journey in our life. I'm going to move on. We're only in April and we've got a lot to cover still. But do go do some reading Chiron, and maybe I'll release a video on it at some point soon. On the 21st of April, we have Saturn conjunct the North Node in Pisces. This is quite a nice energy in terms of getting plans down, looking at the limitations of the plans you've already laid, and fixing those flaws. Getting a little bit real, but also a little bit dreamy, and looking again to the future, aligned soul path. Very, very nice. A nice combination energy here. Venus conjunct the North Node in Pisces on April 24th. Very, very, very nice energy. Very beautiful for setting intentions. Again, I actually want to call April the month of intention setting for the rest of the year. This is a powerful time to just get really clear about the direction you are moving in. Mars in Leo opposite Pluto Aquarius on April 27th. Okay, so we're coming back to more of that ground breaking, ground shaking, quaking kind of energy that really characterizes 2025. And this one is not as loud as some of the other alignments throughout the year, but is a little bit, we might see some kind of conflict breaking out. I mean, we've seen a lot of that already. Um, but we might see some big explosions that day. We might see, and it's gonna look big until we realize that actually the aftermath of that, what it reveals, what it says to us, and what we can decide to do because of that. Hopefully, it doesn't need to be a bloody kind of explosion. Maybe it could be an information explosion, right? With Pluto and Aquarius, it could very well be informational warfare, right? It doesn't have to be, but with Mars and Leo, it doesn't have to be bloodshed. But we're going to see some kind of explosive here. Yes, May. Let's get into the astrology of May. We're going to see Uranus Cazimi in Taurus on 18th of May. I believe we'll see with this kind of energy in May, we're going to see a big shift happening in financial systems. We might see, and things have been leading up to this. So just one example of how this energy might show up. We might see complete decentralization of the US dollar, for example. We might see a big focus or shift onto their cryptocurrency, or perhaps the new money, or BRICS. Is it called BRICS dollar? But what new currency is, we're gonna probably see some kind of major shift of financial power and the way currencies work. That's one way this energy might show up. Some big announcement around this time. On the 25th of May, we're going to see Jupiter in Gemini square to the lunar nodes. May. this can be the kind of energy you could interpret as bad, as challenging, as difficult, as big shaking energy, or we could see it as opportunity. And wherever Jupiter comes, there's expansion, there's opportunity. And you know what they say, like sometimes when something terrible happens, there's actually still an opportunity in the something terrible. And I really don't mean that in a gross, because of course that has, the way we can almost approach someone suffering in a way that is reverse. We're not talking about it in that opportunist kind of, but we're saying there's always something that can be done with this energy that can help to transmute the energy, and that can turn something into a positive, right? So they say, for example, in a recession, there are people who suffer and there are people who thrive. And the people who thrive are the ones who look for the opportunities, who are adaptable. Adaptability is a very good word for this year of 2025. On the 30th of May, we are going to see a Mercury Cazimi in Gemini. This is a very powerful moment to speak prayers, to write your letters to the universe, to work with spells and incantations, to speak with verbal communication in terms of it being really well heard and received. Those of you who are launching projects, those of you who are, releasing statements, releasing new videos, this is a very, very good moment for all of the kind of communicative energy. The other thing that is in May, and sorry, I am going backwards again, is that on the 25th of May, Saturn is moving into Aries for 2.5 years. 2.5 years. And again, really useful for us to not look at something as, you know, just Saturn in Aries, but understanding that while Saturn is in Aries, Neptune is in Aries. So they're both Aries. They're there together, right? And while Saturn is about structure and moving slow and constraints and changes and time and etc., Neptune is about dreaminess and expansion. And so again, this combination, Saturn and Neptune moving through Aries, we have this spiritual warrior energy, but we also have this energy of practicality with Saturn showing up here. And Aries, right? Where we can take our dreams, we can take our visions, we can take our goals, and we can ground them into plans and execute them. Very powerful, at least if we actually approach it in that way. Let's move on to June. 10th of June, we have Jupiter moving into from Gemini into Cancer. It's going to be here about a year. Jupiter in Cancer, firstly, be a beautiful blessing for those of you who have natal Jupiter Cancers, or those with big Cancer placements. It's just going to be a nice, expansive, healing kind of energy. Jupiter in Cancer can be an incredibly healing space. It's a really beautiful space for those of you who are mothers. It's really going to just be easy to step into unconditional love with this energy. Very beautiful, very healing. For those of you who have deep wounds around mother energy, whether it be the mother archetype within you, your connection with your own mother, etc., the opportunity to heal those wounds will show up. That means will show up in triggers. Remember, triggers are opportunities to heal. On the 15th of June, we have Mars in Leo square to Uranus, Taurus. I'm not sure what to say to you about that one. I want to say move slow. I want to say don't start any new projects. And I want to say keep an eye on the news. Keep an eye on the news. Then also happening on the 15th, it's a lot. We have Jupiter in Cancer square to Saturn in Aries. Keep an eye on the news. Bite your tongue. On the 19th of June, Jupiter in Cancer square to Neptune in Aries. So many squares this month. Again, watch the news. Be cautious, move slow. And then we have a Jupiter in Cancer on the 24th of June. And this is the moment you've been waiting for to weave your magic, to cast your spells, especially healing work. Very powerful on this day. Very, very, very powerful. July. Uranus is moving into Gemini. Will be there for 7 years. Look at this beautiful numerology. The 7th month, the 7th month, 7th of July. Uranus is moving into Gemini for 7 years. 777. I already spoke a little bit about Uranus moving into Gemini as this major shift in communications, this ability to access your psychic ability, to step into telepathy. See major shifts in technology with this energy. Major shifts. We're probably going to recognize the world that we live in. We probably can imagine, but have no idea how this is going to look. It's going to be ChatGPT, but times 5 million. Crazy advancements here. Uranus in Gemini, I mean, wow. And we're going to hit a Mercury retrograde, so we might see some kind of dystopian energy around this communicative shift for a little while. It won't last for long, but it's going to be a 3-week, July 17th, right up until August 11. And, what I say about Mercury retrograde is breathe and be patient. Breathe and be patient. This Mercury retrograde in specific is happening in Leo, and it's really, really going to be a moment of check your pride and swallow that pride. Then we're going to have Mars conjunct to the Sun node in Virgo. This is happening on July 21st, and it's super important at this moment to just observe some of the old patterns that are kind of showing up. Probably the temptation is going to be that something awakens within you that you thought you'd laid to rest, that you thought that's the old version of me, and it might just be showing up or some old pattern, and it's going to be a criticism, and there's going to be guilt and shame attached to this. It is very important at this time to just observe and know that healing is not a linear journey. It is cyclical. August, we love August because of course it's the 8th month of the year. It's the month of Leo sun. We have the 8 Lions portal opening up as it does every year on the 8th of the 8th. It's a magical manifestation month. It is an expansive month in terms of the sun being at home in its home sign of Libra. We're going to have Mars in Libra up to Saturn, which is retrograding through Aries at the time on the 9th of August, which is just after the Lionsgate portal. So luckily we've got that beautiful Lionsgate energy to work with, even got this very intense opposition the very next day. I want to say ride the good wave with some of the challenging foam. It's still a great moment to activate your DNA, to receive healing, to connect in with dimensional beings, to practice your psychic ability, to tap into your telepathy. It is a powerful moment. We are going to see Mercury stationing direct on the 11th. We're going to see Mercury Cazimi in Leo on the 1st of August. This is a very, very nice energy, again, for setting intention and manifesting abundance. But I really want to talk about abundance in terms of Lionsgate as having more of a spiritual focus, especially at the time. I think that's a much more important, abundant energy. The other things we're going to see in August, we're going to see an opposition between Mars and Neptune on August 10th. It's going to be a little bit intense. There might be some moments where it feels like I've done all of this work, I've set all of this intention, I've been doing my best to, to manifest, to be the creator of my universe. All of these challenges show up, and so often people think that that my manifestation hasn't worked. But what if it means has? What if it means that the universe is going, okay, you want this thing? Deal with this thing. That's the thing standing in your way. How are you going to break that pattern? Right? This belief system you're still holding. When we can see the challenges as blessings, as gifts, as opportunities, that is when we can see transformation. Just because I'm quite critical, love and light, and you're the creator of your universe, and you know, the very disconnection kind of spiritual approach, it doesn't mean I don't believe in manifestation. Of course, law of attraction, manifestation is real. But when we ignore such an important part of ourselves, i.e., the shadow, the ego, the fragmentation of our psyche, the fact that we all carry trauma, the fact that our global society is carrying a lot of trauma, when we cut ourselves off from that, it's just simply delusional. This is why the calling to deep healing, like if you really want to be a powerful manifester, a powerful creator, you've got to look into the shadows. And this Aries, Pisces, Gemini, Aquarius theme of this year is giving that power to do so. And you can either shy away from and hide like you have done, or many of us have done many times in our lives, or you can embrace it. You can be fearless. And I think being fearless is not feeling fear. It's fear and facing it and dissolving it and doing the thing anyway. On the 12th of August, we're going to have Venus conjunct with Jupiter in Cancer, powerful healing moment. Do the healing work, do the hypnotherapy, do the meditations, the walk, manifest things in the forest, howl at the moon. This is a powerful, expansive, healing energy. Maybe forgive yourself. That forgiveness ritual would be very powerful on this day. 29th of August, we have Uranus in Gemini, sextile to Neptune in Aries. Very, very nice energy for manifestation as well. Very, very nice energy for launching projects. Very nice energy for releasing videos, content, articles, having challenging conversations, creating new bonds, contracts, taking good meetings, etc., etc. Very, very nice energy to work with. 29th of August. September, we're going to see Saturn retrograding backwards into Pisces. Remember, I said, of course, we have this retrograde energy happening. That's happening on the 1st of September. So whatever sort of shifts we saw in terms of that archetype that I said with like Neptune joining, Saturn joining Neptune in Aries, and that archetype opening up and then Saturn back into Pisces. And Saturn in Pisces is, you know, it's not the best combination, and it's not the most efficient place for Saturn to be. Saturn's going to be a lot more efficient for us in Aries. So we're going to a little bit of a delay on that energy that we were seeing starting to open up with Saturn moving into Aries. It's going to slow back down, but don't worry, it's coming back. On the 5th of September, we're going to see Mars in Libra square to Jupiter in Cancer. There's probably going to be a number of things happening for people at this time. Not going to be an easy moment. It can be a healing moment, and the choice there is yours. Probably we're going to see a lot of triggers in romantic relationships, interpersonal relationships. We might see some miscommunications happening. Again, the potential for healing here, very, very strong, very, very powerful. On the 8th of September, we're going to see a total lunar eclipse in Pisces. The temptation here will be to fall into a black hole of despair that the dreams you have woven will never come true. And I want to say, do not fall for that lie. That will be the feeling. Let the dust settle. Come back to faith, come back to the hope. The thing is, the way you visualize things, it's never going to look exactly the same. In fact, it's probably better. But if you're so stuck on it must happen that way, has to unfold in this way in order to be the vision that I've created, you are not allowing a collaboration with the universe. Let the universe reveal to you where your dreams are not aligned and reassess. On the 13th of September, we're going to see a Mercury Cazimi in Virgo. Probably by this time, there's going to be a little bit more stability, groundedness, and like, oh, okay, I can see how I can make the plans and where I want to head and how I want things to go. Okay, right? Try not to be too controlling about it. On the 2nd of September, we are going to see a partial solar eclipse in Virgo, again with the very unsettling energy, again with the it feels like my dreams are never going to come true kind of energy. Of course, we have the solstice the day before, right? Depending where you are in the world, it might be the longest day or it might be the longest night. Um, but we do have this turnaround energy, this shift energy, which is quite powerful as well. On the 24th of September, Mars in Scorpio, a very moody place for Mars, a very uncomfortable place for Mars to be, a very acidically, verbally challenging place for Mars to be. Bite your tongue, watch what you say, also watch what you think, because what you think has energy and sends attacks to people. And people are not strong enough to receive those attacks. And whatever attacks you send out into the world come back to you, often threefold, often stronger than what you sent them, even if it's unconscious. Even if it's unconscious. Mars in Scorpio square to Pluto in Aquarius, 24th of September. This is a very jarring energy. It's unsettling. Collectively, we're going to see something shaking here. We're going to see something shifting. I do feel it'll be for the best, but it's not necessarily going to be an easy unfold. All right. October. We've only written one movement for October, but what I want to say is I love October. It's Scorpio's, well, it's not quite Scorpio season, it's Libra season. But Libra moves into Scorpio, and at the end of October, we have the thinning of the veil. We have this move into Scorpio season, which I just love October. It's all about love and romance and relationships, and then we go into like deep inner work for November. And here we're going to see Neptune retrograding back into Pisces. So, although we love the idea of Neptune stepping into Aries, Neptune in Aries is just it's gonna help us to make things happen. Neptune in Pisces is at home, it's dreamy, it's yummy, it's delicious, and that's happening on the 22nd of October. And even though it's a retrograding movement, even though it's a backwards movement, it does kind of give us a moment of ease. In November, of course, entering into November, we have that thinning of the veil, 31st of October, and then we're fully into Scorpio season. 5th of November, we're going to see Mars in Sagittarius opposite to Uranus in Gemini. And we want to say be cautious of how you communicate around this time. It could either go really, really well, it could be really, really powerfully received if you are conscious with the way that you communicate. It could be very profound, but if not, it could really backfire very potently. A strong energy. On the 8th of November, we have Uranus retrograding back into Taurus. Again, we're going to see something shifting in terms of financial systems. There's going to be something going on here. In fact, I kind of feel there might be an old money power showing up, and people are kind of going, oh, look, things already change. And that's not going to last. It's kind of a last grab. On the 9th of November, we're going to see Mercury, which is still retrograde in, which is going retrograde from the 9th of November to the 29th of November. So the whole of November we have Mercury retrograde. This offers us plenty of shadow work time. Let's call November the month of shadow work. And it's going to retrograde backwards into Scorpio. It's going to be very sensitive. It's going to be very deep. Spend a lot of time with your journals this month. We're then going to see Mercury conjunct Scorpio on the 20th of November. These are powerful energies. December. I've only put two notable dates for December. I've put the 9th of December. We have a square between Mars in Sagittarius and Saturn in Pisces. And we have a square on the 14th of December between Mars in Sagittarius and Neptune in Pisces. These Mars squares kind of bring us full circle, because we've started this year with the Mars retrograde, which has been very uncomfortable, and we have Mars in Cancer, or moving at least into Cancer on the 12th of January, and Mars in a water sign, right? Mars is not super emotional. Mars is fire. Mars is war, and Mars does not like to be emotional. And when Mars is in a water sign, it's explosive, it's aggressive, it's, I don't know how to deal with my emotions. It's fiery. And then we're going to have Mars in Sagittarius, right? And we're going to have these squares with Saturn in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, both retrograde, and they've just moved backwards into Pisces. So we've got this water clash happening with that Mars energy. We're going to see disputes. We're going to see disagreements on the global stage in terms of what is the best way to move forward. I think it's really important to note that there will always be multiple narratives. There will always be multiple communities. There will always be multiple things growing. We're never going to settle on one way of something being just like or just like that. That doesn't make sense. And so we should let go of the hope or the idea that everyone needs to be on exactly the same page. Because there are different ways to approach this. You can approach it from different routes all at the same time. So that is the astrology. It's a little bit of a deep dive into the astrology. I was going to pull some cards for each month, but I think I'd like to just pull a couple cards for the entire year, for the general energy of the entire year. And I feel like I've spoken quite a bit already intuitively around the energy of that year and what's going on. This is Charlotte. She's come to say hello. Hello. Hello, what do you think of 2025, huh? Yeah. Is that so? And I think I'd really like to come back to the thing of like, we could see nuclear We could see apocalyptic energy, or we could see humanity expanding, spiritual awakening, and building of new world. And I think that even if we have to take the route of like new war and apocalyptic energy, I do think that the inevitability is that we build that new world. I think that that is where we end up every single time. I guess the real question is, which timeline are you on? And I think spiritual people think that, oh, I'm going to be on the, love and light, the love and light timeline. But is a lot of the time you're needed on the war timeline. Hey, Charlotte. Let's do a couple cards. Let's get some general info for that 2025. It's the key. Numerology, the number 5 is called the key. It's an unlocker. It's a paradigm shifter. It's a door opener, right? And may we open spiritual doors. May we open doors to astral realms. May we open doors of healing. Yes, 3 of Cups. Manifestation, magic, gathering under the full moon. And we have the High Priestess. This is about secrets being revealed. This is a ground shaking energy. This is crown chakra, third eye opening. This is divine feminine awakening, divine feminine rising. This is bringing balance to masculine and feminine energy. Oof, may we bring balance to masculine and feminine energy. Let's do 1 or 2 more. Let's see here. I'm gonna do this Aries deck. Let's get 1 from there. Yes, there it is. Trust. Trust. And firstly, I think this color red is, if I think of the energy of 2025, it's definitely red. It's war, it's shifting, it's passion, it's changing, it's revolution. And I think combining that word trust with that red, we are going to need to walk in trust. We're going to need to carry trust with us as we move into and through this. And I think trust is not something that we just easily have, right? It's something we have to choose. It's something we have to maintain. And when we're feeling mistrustful, there is something that needs to birth and something that needs to be unpacked, something that needs to be revealed. Like, where is that mistrust coming from? And it's perfectly normal for us to feel mistrust when we've moved through something challenging. And it's perfectly normal for us to move through something challenging. So it's normal for our trust to be threatened. And we have to choose to bring it back in. And it's grounding practices. It's through prayer. It's through building and maintaining trust within your relationships. And it's through affirming trust, grounding in your body, and being someone who is worthy of trust. Trusting yourself, right? Beautiful family. I think that's where I'm going to wind this down today. It was beautiful to have you here on my first live on YouTube. I'll definitely be doing some more moving forward and learning more about how it all works. And yeah, I'll see if I can post the video. I'm not sure how to do that yet. Let's see if we can get it right. If you are feeling called to come and journey in the Psychic Development Program, if you'd like to and do some ancestral healing, it's a really powerful program. You'll find a link in my bio on my profile and linked on most videos. I will definitely put a link on the description of this video if I'm able to post it. And otherwise, Thank you for being here. Thank you for being on your healing journey and for being brave enough to just face this year, to be a soul that chose to incarnate at this time, because, I think we're all quite special for choosing this time. Thank you, Divine Raquel. Love you so much, sister. All of the blessings. I don't even know how